It's Luke here from Gym Hippie and Buzz Gym. I thought I would hop onto the Zoom app, which is a very cool little app I've just discovered, in order to do you a short online video and keep you educated and entertained whilst we're all in lockdown. If you're anything like me, then you are twiddling your thumbs. So what better time to empower yourself with some knowledge? So today, as you can see, I am going to talk to you about one of the chapters from my Gym Hippie Fat Loss Handbook, which, by the way, I'm giving out for free at the moment. So if you fancy a copy, then just drop me a message on Instagram. Just say Gym Hippie Fat Loss Handbook, and I will send you access right away. The chapter here is on what I call mastering calorie quantity, which is essentially talking about calories as if they were a budget, just like a financial budget, as if you were managing a financial budget. In particular, calorie deficits. For those of you that know me, I am a fat loss and body reshaping coach, or the posh way of putting that is a body recomposition coach. So the things I'm interested in are burning unwanted body fat and shaping the muscle. When those things happen simultaneously, what you get is a process whereby the unwanted body fat is burned away to reveal a brand new body shape. Now, as we know, the body shaping occurs in the gym, but the fat loss, that occurs at home, outside of the gym. When it comes to fat loss, nutrition, specifically calories, is what it's all about. So let's launch in. Oh, it's not working. There we go. Okay. So this chapter in particular is on busting some myths around fat loss. And goodness me, there are lots of them. I should say from the get-go, these images are not mine. They all belong to wonderful people online. This one is at the Fitness Chef, a chap called Graeme. Check him out on Instagram. He's an absolute leader in the field, and he's actually just got a new book out. So these images aren't mine. I've merely compiled them and added some of my own reflections. So the first myth to debunk is this notion that some fat loss diets are fundamentally more effective than others. Whereas the truth is, all fat loss diets are only as effective as their ability to get us into and sustain a calorie deficit. And for those of you that don't know what a calorie deficit is, what I'm talking about, it's consuming fewer calories than your body needs for activity. And it is the only mechanism through which we can burn body fat, as we will talk about a little bit more in a minute. Suffice to say, no diets have any magical fat burning properties. They only work because they facilitate and help us sustain a state of caloric deficit. So for this reason, on paper, all of them are equally as effective as the other when it comes to the science. What will make one strategy more effective than another is it's one that fits our lifestyle, and it's one that fits our dietary preference. It's one that fits who we are as a person. So on that level, some diets are better than others. But first major point is that no diets have any magical fat burning properties, and on paper they are all equally effective. So for that reason, don't invest in the diet. Invest in the underlying mechanism behind fat loss, and that mechanism is a calorie deficit. And you've got this little cartoon here where the chap on the left is saying, I've tried absolutely everything and I just can't lose weight. And the chap on the right, who's a little bit more informed, is saying, have you actually tried tracking your calories to ensure that you are in a calorie deficit, presumably? So, as I said, all diets work because of the same underlying mechanism, which is reducing your calorie intake to get you into a state of caloric deficit. As we know, there are lots of different types of diets out there that can help facilitate the calorie deficit. A very popular one at the moment is fasting diets or intermittent fasting. These can work. Any diet can work. The way fasting diets work is they reduce the time in the day that you will be consuming food. So, for example, if 24 hours in a day, if you don't eat for 10 of them, then you're much less likely, in theory, to consume above your calorie budget than if you were eating for 15 hours of the day. So there's nothing magic about it. It's just this idea that if you reduce the window of time that you are eating, then you are less likely then to consume over your calorie budget. Moving on. Again, low carb diets have been very popular over recent decades. Possibly less so these days, but again, there's nothing magic about carbs. They don't have any innate ability to cause us to put on unwanted body fat. They work through the same mechanism as anything else, which is by reducing our carbohydrate intake, we then reduce our calorie intake, and then hopefully that takes us into a calorie deficit. Keto obviously completely eliminates carbohydrates. Vegan diets, which will promote fat loss, again, they work through the same mechanism. Calorie deficit, when you're eating plant-based foods, lots of vegetables, lots of fiber, lots of volume there, you're less likely to consume above your calorie requirements if you're eating these kinds of food. Paleo is another example. So all these different methods of achieving this calorie deficit. On paper, as I said, not one is better than the other one. The key is finding one that you can actually sustain, and the one that's going to enable you to maintain your current quality of life. For me, this means removing anything that's extreme. A classic example, in my opinion, is keto, and I'm not bashing keto, but certainly anecdotally, for anyone that I've ever worked with, it's not sustainable. So for me, the headline is sustainability, and that usually means moderation. As it says at the bottom here, people don't fail with diets. People fail to maintain their diet for the long term. So, yeah, fatty diets, these are these kind of short-term solution approaches, which again, they work through exactly the same mechanism, which is the calorie deficit, but they're often very aggressive, the calorie deficits, and they might lead to short-term results. They might lead to short-term weight gain, even though a lot of it, certainly in the short term, is likely to be water. But and for some people, in some situations, that might be all you want. If you've got a wedding coming up, or you're going to have your top off somewhere, or you've got your swinging event coming up, then maybe a short-term solution is what you want. But for most people, we're looking for something a little bit more sustainable. So going through this list here, short fatty diets, extreme diets, you're talking short-term solutions, then they're not sustainable. They're often things that you suffer through for a short time just to get to a certain point. They're often not enjoyable. They often do impact quality of life. You talk about sacrifice, overly restrictive, and they do require willpower. And as anyone knows, willpower is limited supply. Moving on.